So JumpStart is a venture development organization. What we mean by that is we work closely with high-growth entrepreneurs and provide assistance to them, technical assistance, but intense assistance that helps them grow their businesses. And we do that both through individuals helping them as well as investing capital in them in many cases. We also help coordinate resources from across the state for other organizations that participate in this ecosystem by way of other resources, other financial resources, other physical resources in the case of it could be an incubator, but state-supported resources that help to make this a vibrant ecosystem. So JumpStart America is an outgrowth of the President's effort to spur entrepreneurship and innovation on a national level. And this Startup America program, which we're part of through JumpStart America, allows us to provide a national footprint for developing public-private partnerships that want to be part of helping to grow innovation and entrepreneurship nationwide by providing resources to it. So our job is to go out and be a catalyst for raising additional resources, additional funds through public-private partnerships that can then invest in this across the nation. So if you think about it for a second, a national foundation like the Ford Foundation or the Gates Foundation has the ability now to provide resources to an organization that can then have a greater effect across the country as opposed to in a particular place. But while doing that, bring additional resources back to Northeast Ohio and highlight the work that's being done in Northeast Ohio. Well, certainly it was a great honor to have the President here, and it's one of the few areas in the country that he highlighted that are really being very proactive and taking control of their destiny through a focus on innovation and entrepreneurship in trying to transform the economy here. So I think for the President to be able to meet firsthand, I was in a room with him where we literally met with a dozen entrepreneurs for about a half an hour, and for him to hear firsthand what their challenges are, whether it's dealing with too much government regulation or trying to find access to capital or access to other government resources. I think these are very important things for him to hear. In some cases, they had answers for it. In other cases, they took notes. And what I was very impressed with at the end of the day, a lot of folks accuse the President of reading from a teleprompter too often, but he came to the meeting, he summarized it, he talked about what he'd learned, and I think he took away some very valuable lessons, but provided some good input as well along the way. So very impressive to have the President here, to have his team here, but to really hold Northeast Ohio out is a national example of a region that's taking control of their destiny through this focus on innovation and entrepreneurship and really become an example for much of the rest of the country. Well, it's interesting that you asked that question because about 2 years ago now, the Economic Development Administration came to us, and we've had a couple of grants from them in the past, and they came to us when we were really at the height of the economic challenges, and they said, really, Northeast Ohio, you've done an amazing job of helping to catalyze this innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem and bring collaborators together and really form an effort around this in helping to spur innovation. And your results are really proving themselves out. But we find that much of the rest of the country has had a challenge with this and aren't as fully developed. Can you help us outside of Northeast Ohio? And what makes us so unique is the partnerships have been formed to catalyze philanthropy, to catalyze the business community, to help coordinate state resources in a way that really brings a tremendous amount of focus, energy, resources, financial and otherwise, to this issue of innovation and entrepreneurship so that you can help young companies get started, help them grow, help them accelerate, and ultimately form additional economic benefit for the region, whether it's through jobs, through payroll, through taxes going back to local governments, to attracting capital from outside of the region. And if you take a look at what some of the results of that have been, what I'm holding here is our venture capital report, which is a report that we helped put together for the region. And just to give you some results from what this all means, at the end of the day, this all sounds good, but what does it really mean for the region? And if you take a look at the region, almost 100 companies, 96 companies raised almost $250 million in equity investment last year alone. And the significance of that is not only is it a large amount of money, but it's up, year over year from 2008 to 2009, it's up over 137%, which is far outpaces the rest of the nation. And while we may not be Silicon Valley, we're ahead of the curve in terms of our ability to come back from from a tough economic time to raise additional resources from investors, of which probably 35 or 40% of those investors came from outside of the region. So we're getting equity investors to come here, whether they're venture capital investors or others, to come here, place their bets on local companies, bring these significant financial resources to the region, help grow these companies, help add additional jobs and create additional economic opportunities, and with it a much more diverse economy along the way, one that spans many different technological sectors. So these results are what brings the attention here, what brings the president here to understand what we're doing, because it's a community coming together and a series of collaborators coming together, working across the region, trying to develop and continuing to develop an innovation ecosystem and an entrepreneurial ecosystem that really is gaining significant traction, and as I said, ahead of any other region in the country. Well, whether you want to start something and use intellectual property from an institution like the clinic or Case Western or University of Akron or Kent State or any of these wonderful institutions we have in the area, for an entrepreneur, maybe they have an idea and they want to get started, they can count on a JumpStart, or they can count on a Magnet, or they can count on folks from Akron at the Akron Global Business Accelerator, or folks from Launch House and Shaker. So whether it's community-based or institutional-based or regionally based like we are, there's a lot of resources to count on, not just for money, which I think is certainly an important element in any startup, but for money and mentorship and assistance, technical assistance, subject matter expertise, because we have a very wide variety of intellectual property here and of technologies, whether they're IT-based or advanced materials-based or healthcare-based. There's a lot of different opportunities. So if you're an entrepreneur with an idea, you have the ability to garner capital, to garner other kinds of resources, to garner low-cost space to house your business. So there's a lot going on that you can take advantage of to help accelerate your business, to help garner additional capital as your business grows, and to help your business succeed at the end of the day, which is what you're ultimately looking to do. I think what a lot of folks don't realize is just how regionally focused some of these efforts are. So if you're in Canton, do you understand that there's all these resources available from Lorain that might benefit you down in Canton? So I think part of the effort that we have always continually underway is to helping to reach out to communities, whether it's in Salem, whether it's in Canton or Akron or even here in Cleveland. What are the things that are available? What does it take to qualify for those? And so these are the discussions we have on an ongoing basis. And really the depth of the resources that are available, the breadth and depth of resources, whether they're within a JumpStart or a collaborator like BioEnterprise, or do they exist at an institution like Case or perhaps Kent State or out at Baldwin Wallace. Where do the resources exist for me in my situation? How can we help connect you to those resources? So I think for a lot of folks, they're surprised when they come in and they see the actual, as I said, breadth and depth of resources that are available to them. So our job is to make sure that folks fully understand that and are aware of everything that's available to them.